seagulls follow trawler. It's because they think sardines will be thrown into the sea. Thank you very much.
Talking nonsense. So I thought, no, enough's enough. Why should I put up with that? Talking nonsense. So I thought, no, enough's enough. Why should I put up with that? Don't back down, double down. Don't back down, double down.
Yes, how well doing? Welcome back aboard the bus. It's a happy bus tonight. It is another win in 2022 for Celtic. Done with aplomb, not much fuss. 3-0, it just seems the norm right now. We're into the semi-final. The draw has been made. We all know who our next opponents in this competition is going to be. Jonathan, it's all getting very exciting in the business end of the season, isn't it?
Oh, it really is. It was another excellent performance again today, and it's really set the tone now for going into these final furlongs in both the title race and the Scottish Cup battle as well. I think we're all looking at it from a very positive frame of mind. I think that's now 30 games unbeaten domestically for Celtic, and you've got to say, Russell, it's all beginning to come together at the right time for Ange Postecoglou.
Yes, mate, it is indeed. Hope everyone's doing good. We've got loads of people in the comments already. They're flying onto the bus because they all know that this bus is going to be an exciting ride. Ange's got a bus as well, as we found out this week. Jonathan, I don't know if you've seen his quotes. I think he watches the show. I think that's what I could take from that. So that's brilliant. Hopefully Ange will be catching up on maybe Spotify later on. You never know. Maybe he watches back on YouTube. I don't know. If he does watch back on YouTube, I'm sure he'll be hitting subscribe and the like button. I'll get that out the road now because I always forget to say it. Big thanks as always to fanboyfootball.com. We did preview the new t-shirt as well, Jonathan. I don't know if you've seen that last night. On the Championship Manager stream, we previewed the t-shirt for the lucky few that were on the show last night. It was only about 40 of us on the bus last night, 40 to 50. So they all got
the loyal ones. They all got a first glimpse, so Russell.
A first glimpse, mate. It was a VIP treatment for them. But anyway, enough of all that. Let's talk Celtic, because tonight was potentially a banana skin. I mean, I don't mean that disrespectfully to Dundee United. I know they're a Premier League team, but it's a game we should be winning, but could be forgiven. And look, well, eventually, if we had picked up a negative result, it'd been 8 days since we last played. It's a Monday night, Jonathan. The pitch was a joke. There was players missing that we expected to play. We had no wind, not that I knew of anyway, nor Jota or Abada would even make the first team squad till the team was announced. So there was a couple of obstacles there, but again, the bus doesn't stop, as Ange Postecoglou says. It's not stopping for anyone right now. and he showed that there is the real depth in the squad now, which he didn't have earlier on in the season. None more so typified by a man who gets 2 goals tonight, big Chaos Giacomakis. Now, I want to come to Giacomakis and his sidekick, Danger Maeda. You having that, Jonathan? Because
sounds like a comic book skit already written up there. I can see that. I can see the strip almost. Chaos Giacomakis and Danger Maeda.
Danger Maeda, the two of them.
You
are
just need
bonkers.
Callum McGregor in there with his wee silly mask, and you've got like the perfect dynamic trio.
I mean, for me watching them, I mean, Elfin Priest has just nailed it, by the way, because I wanted to talk about this. I know I've mentioned it before. Ugly goals sometimes, Jonathan, are so important. And Celtic, for me, in the first half of the season, I think there was 1 goal we'd scored. And I'm trying to think who it was, but someone had slid in and scored a sort of not a particularly attractive goal in the first half of the season. But we weren't really doing it. And now, with the introduction of a fully fit and firing Giacomakis, we're now scoring ugly goals. You know, there was one that Maeda scored, another ugly goal which should have stood. Yeah. John Beaton, we're just going to, you know, we could all be arguing about it forever. Do you know what I mean, referees? But I mean, it's not because we're letting it slide in the sense about, you know, it's acceptable. It's just I'm almost laughing. You know what I mean? At the level of those decisions. But you look at that goal, and it was another scrappy one as well. I'm all for the scrappy goals. When you seen Maeda and Giacomakis, I believe, for the first time starting together, am I right?
I can't remember if they've maybe played once before, but I'm not sure they've both started together. I'm not sure if they've both been on the pitch at the same time.
Yeah, maybe been on the pitch. Yeah. But I can't think. I can't think of a time where I've seen them both start. Anyway, the point of this is it worked a devastating effect, Jonathan. That was the thing, because it was bonkers for Dundee to try and defend. In the first half, there was an intensity to us, but we've also got this alternative way to be able to play when you can put the ball in earlier for Giacomakis to try and do something, albeit he was maybe quieter first half. Second half, he could have scored a couple more. All we asked for from Celtic, on another note, in fact, we'll come to that in a minute because I'm rambling. Jonathan, Chaos Giacomakis and Danger Maeda, talk to me about these two absolute pests that Celtic have in their attack.
Oh, well, I think Dundee United will be quite happy to see the back of. I think Maeda in particular in the first half was, he was just constantly finding the spaces and he was just causing them absolute problems every time the ball was going up to him. He seemed to be finding all the space. I think he was sometimes lacking in his final decision making at times, Maeda, but that'll come if he's getting himself into the right places and he's getting himself into those positions, and there's no two ways about it. The final ball will get there over time, so that's one thing to look forward to. I think, you know, when you're looking at Gareth Bale. Wow.
I don't like interrupting you when you're in full flow, Jonathan, but that is making me laugh. Football fan has came in with a comment saying you look like Gareth Bale.
Well, I'll take that one.
I can see it. I can see it.
So I just need to improve my 8-iron play at the golf, and I can be Gareth's caddy or something when he goes and retires.
Bus first, football second. Sorry, Jonathan, on you go, mate.
Yeah, sorry. But yes, touching upon Giacomakis as well in the game, I thought Giacomakis was fairly quiet in the first half. I think he took a wee bit of time to really get into the game as such. But he never really got overly frustrated, which was really positive to see as well. So it's been very easy for him to have been getting annoyed that things weren't really happening for him. He wasn't really being able to, as I say, get involved in the game, wasn't really getting a lot of service as much in the first half. But even then, his anticipation, and I know people will obviously turn around and say the goalkeeper is at fault for the second goal. But Giacomakis is still the one who's reading that and anticipating that there could be a mistake there, is in sniffing about that. And it's him and his presence that probably causes the goalkeeper to actually drop the ball there as well. You know, and even with the third one as well, again, he's got his toe onto it. I think it's the tip of his toe. It's not look like there's much contact there, but it's enough.
Good.
It's all enough just to scrap another one in for Gorgeous George. And you know, he's just going from strength to strength. I actually think he toned it a little bit back in his interview afterwards as well. after all that sort of hula about him saying Celtic were the best team. I think he was actually a bit more reserved post-match this time around. But, everything is looking very positive for Georgios Giakoumakis, and indeed Maeda, who I think has taken a bit of criticism from the Celtic support in the last few weeks. But I think Maeda is very much, he's a bit raw, but there's definitely signs there that he is going to do a lot of damage, and the amount of running and effort you get from him is second to none, really, in that first team.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that is the thing right now. What Postecoglou's done as well is, and I know they were talking about the work rate from Maeda in the first half as well. He's got guys that are running through brick walls, very much, I think, for Celtic, but it's all a byproduct of how Ange has sold Celtic to these players when he signed them. So the buy-in that you're seeing right now is just amazing. The efforts of them all, particularly like as I say, Giakoumakis and Maeda stand out for me just now, obviously, both on the score sheet in a normal, if it was any other country in the world of football, Jonathan. So, I mean, I just think that right now you've got effort levels coming for players that we're seeing all buying into the ethos that Ange wants to have in the team. I mean, it's just amazing to think that you've got wingers who could play, was the top scorer in the J-League. I actually happen to think, from what I've seen now tonight of Maeda on the wing, I get that I think that might be his future role for Celtic, if I'm honest. I think...
Yeah, no, I think so. I would agree with that.
I think he'll be out wide. And I mean, the options out wide, bear in mind, Jonathan, Jota and Abada missing. Abada, double figures for goals. Jota must be on 9 or 10. They've both contributed several assists between them both as well.
Yeah.
You've got to be a wee bit excited when you think those two aren't in the squad. Not, obviously, hopefully they're all right and I don't want them out the squad. But when you think of those sort of players, and then they're being replaced with Maeda and a guy who's won, 10 Scottish titles, something like that, on the other side. It's nice headaches to have, Jonathan, right now. And I'm really chuffed that Giakoumakis, in the absence of Kyogo, he's up to 9 goals now. He's really, I think, grabbed his opportunity as and when he's been fit. He's winning over so many doubters. Christie's coming in there saying, considering the word chaos derives from a Greek word. There you go, mate. I'd love to say
all planned, Chris. He planned this out.
Yeah, I know my Greek. No, unfortunately, I did not know that. Elfie Priest coming in as well. Maeda's hectic. That's all I've read of this so far. But he is hectic, and I think they bring in a dimension, an element that. Yeah, at times I think Maeda's first touch is heavy and maybe his finishing looks a wee bit off or has done so far. But again, I'm like you, Jonathan. I think it will come. I think it's a lot to settle into this environment as well. I also think the guy's he's on his own train at times, with the pace that he's using, and he's almost running too quick to be able to control the ball in like a nice gentle first touch. It's quite difficult. But what we are seeing is it's bringing defenders yet another, and I keep talking about this, another variety of headache. Today it wasn't the trickery of Jota down the left to tying up defences and knots. Today it was about the unrivaled pace and work rate of Maeda, who even when you're on the ball isn't giving you a minute's peace, even if you think he's 20 yards behind you, because he's just played a cross in the box that our goalkeepers gathered up. They think that with them, there'll be space there. He's back into position, Jonathan, in 2 seconds flat, tracking them back. And I think he likes that side of the game. I also believe Giakoumakis likes that side of the game. If you look back at this Celtic team at the start of this season, Jonathan, I'd take the game at Ibrox. Let's pull that one out there. Celtic were nowhere near a physical enough team, Jonathan. Nowhere near physical enough. Yes, they had the work rate of Kyogo, and I think Ange put him in the wing that day to sort of do the role that Maeda was doing tonight. It didn't work. You're looking at it now and you're going, Giakoumakis has got defenders. He's jostling with him. He's wrestling. Tom Rogic comes on tonight, Jonathan, and is wanting a wee sort of tussle with, I think it was Butcher. I'm sure that's with...
The 10 seconds of coming on as well. He was proper, and that's something I don't think we've ever seen from Tom Rogic, that side of him at all, really. It was certainly a bit different, and certainly came as a surprise to many to have seen Roger kind of going that. Butcher like that. But I think they're all really committed. They're all really just wanting to make that impression. They've all bought into the way that Ange wants them to play, and the fact that they've all got to do their press. I think, I was probably a bit ballsy from Ange in some ways at half time, when he decides he's taking a tatty off. Fair enough, he's under the yellow card. You can see the thinking behind it. Particularly with how much of a fuss was made over his booking, then he might have found that, one more missed time tackle he was going to get sent off. So I can understand why he made the substitution, but there's a lot of question marks, I think, amongst not just our support, but in general, as to whether or not Roderick and O'Reilly can function together in the middle of the park. And, it's a brave move to put them in at Tannadice when it's only, 1-0. And Dundee United are going to come out of that second half out the traps and going to be trying to get, themselves back on top. And they did have about a 10-minute spell at the start of the second half where they tried to put us under a wee bit of pressure. And, you did kind of feel you missed that Hatate in the middle of the park there to just snuff things out a bit. And you were there was a little spell where we were kind of losing slightly out in the midfield, I felt. But then we recovered it absolutely fine. And it all kind of came back. And as you rightly say, the fact that the players were all willing to go those extra yards, put the pressure on to the Dundee United players, it just speaks volumes for them completely as to how they were going with that. So,
Jonathan, 91 and a half minutes. And the tracking back that we're doing to try and win the ball. You're seeing Karol Mukudembele, he's appealing for a penalty 1 minute because we're doing yet another attack. And then he's trying to make a sliding challenge literally at full time on the halfway line, tracking back. And it's not just him. Everyone was still playing with that intensity right up to the full time whistle. We've got a 3-goal cushion. They could be forgiven for taking a couple of minutes off. We'll go back to what will always be the fabled training session video, where Ange says, we're going to be relentless. We'll take a break at, halftime at the end of the game. You're seeing that tonight as well, Jonathan. It wasn't just when we had the lull. It's even when we're in positions of strength and the tie's done. They're still going, mate. They don't stop. And I think it's really amazing to watch. It's an endearing quality that the team's got. And I think that gives them it gives you, like, the supporters, you get respect for the players more. You identify with the team more, where they look like they're running through brick walls for the cause.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's what we're wanting to see. And even when it's 3-0 up, if it was me or you playing for Celtic, God forbid, but imagine if we wouldn't be stopping running till that
you
was
blew
so
your
right
cord
either.
out just playing walking football. There's no danger you're playing for Celtic. Come on, Russell, you're better than that. Come on.
Well, I wasn't playing walking football. It was in the warm-up. But I think I've torn my quad muscle, honestly. It's so sore. So if the show's not that long tonight, I'm sorry about my barnet as well. It's a bit of a mess. I had my headband on. Obviously, I would normally shower, but because I got injured in the warm-up, and it was so sore, man. Anyway, don't make me think about it. I was forgetting about it, just talking about Ange there, Jonathan. But what he's got, though, is what I'm trying to say is he's got 11 players now in the park that are playing with the same sort of work ethic, full of heart, full of, energy for the cause, like as if they're all 11 supporters playing, which is just amazing because what they also bring is very good football, so comfortable on the ball, nearly every single one of them. So I thoroughly enjoyed the display, Jonathan. I know it's not going to be in the top 5 performances of the season, but when we weren't having whirlwind displays before, we weren't winning games 3-0.
Yeah, and this is it. And, I think you have to also acknowledge the fact Dundee United are one of the notoriously hardest teams to break down in the league, and we made them look very, very straightforward at times with some of the play we put together in the game. So, it is something you've got to consider there as well. I think, when you're talking about the players and the pressing and everything like that, there is also the benefit now that Celtic are going to only be playing once a week, and I think the fact they have had this longer period now between their games has obviously helped pay dividends there too, and I suspect that might become an even more important factor going forward in the league season and as well in the cup games, just due to the fact now that we're going to get the chance to re-energise the players. Ange Postecoglou, could actually now find out what his strongest 11 is, and probably doesn't need to feel the need to change it as much if he doesn't want to, just because of the fact Celtic are playing Thursday, Sunday. Celtic now have that break where he can now just go out, find his best 11, which I'm not entirely sure Postecoglou still is convinced he knows exactly what his best 11 is yet, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, just because he's got so many options there. But I think the extra time on the training ground and the fact now he's got that break between matches means he's now in a luxurious position where he can afford to find out who he feels his best 11 is and run with them consistently. Obviously the more exciting part as well is, there's a lot more talk now about Kyogo being a lot closer to a return. To a return as well. So that would all point pretty strongly.
I agree. I mean, I think Ange doesn't want necessarily a first choice 11. I think he wants his first choice squad. I just think that's how he operates. Am I still working all right? Because it froze a wee bit a minute ago. Can you hear me, Jonathan? Are you still there?
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I don't know what was going on there. Lost there.
Did I freeze?
Yeah, I was there. You just went silent.
Is it freezing at my house? Sorry about that. I don't know what was happening there. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you've gone all deep.
Have I? What do you mean I've went deep? What does that mean?
Like your voice is kind of like dropped like a few octaves.
Has it? Oh, it was you who froze, Jonathan, apparently. There you go.
Oh, there we go. It's me that's froze. I don't know why. Somebody tried to phone me, so I was declining the call, and then it's...
That's what it's been. I think you're on a wee bit of a delay now as well. Kieran said no sound. Don't you bother with that, Kieran. You've done that before to me, you bastard. Don't worry, he's at it, Elfin Priest. Don't you worry. Anyway, where were we? Talking about... What was I saying? I can't mind. I'll move on. Right. Let's look ahead to the draw then for the quarterfinals, Jonathan. A bit tasty, wasn't it? I don't think they'll be cheering about it. I always remember was it the Loudon Tavern or something, and they were all going mental because they had Graham Murray in charge and they beat Falkirk or something like that. 6 games unbeaten or 6 wins in a row, and they all cheered and the pints went everywhere when they drew us. And Brendan Rodgers just says, "Be careful what you wish for." That was what he said in the pre-match interview. I loved that. I thought that was very good put down. So I don't know if folk are having issues with the volume. I don't know what's going on there. But Red Baron comes in and he says, "We are cheering this time." Can I ask you why, Red Baron? What I want to know genuinely why you would be cheering playing the top of the league team that scalped you 3-0 last time round. I don't understand why you'd be cheering that. I'm glad if you are, though, because it'll make it all the sweeter. From my point of view, you've got to play all the better sides in the league at some point, Jonathan, if you want to win these cups. My honest opinion is that game is one where it's either that it was a toss-up between them or Hibs, who's the biggest sort of bottle merchant in these sort of situations. I'd have been happy with either of them. Hearts was the one that you really didn't want, I don't think. I'm quite happy with the draw. I'm comfortable with it. I don't think we've got anything to fear from any of the teams left. I've got respect for them, but I've not think we've got anything to fear.
No, I don't think so. I think, when you're looking at it, it's just a case that it's another game. It's one to be excited about. We've got, obviously, the trip to Ibrox coming up in the next couple of weeks in the league. And then you've obviously got this big cup game to look forward to further down the line. I wouldn't say it's one to fear at all. The cup is, for me, it's a bit of less pressure on the cup because I do feel as if, if we were to go out the cup, it's not a total disaster because the main thing for us has got to be looking to secure the league championship at this stage of the season now when, considering months back, we weren't expected to be in this position whatsoever. And now here we are, potentially 8 games away from, one of the most memorable league title wins in recent history that I can think of in any event.
Yeah.
Obviously, when it comes to the cup, that'll take care of itself. That'll be, a fairly evenly matched game, I would imagine. Probably one that could go either way if you're looking at, how our rivals are doing in Europe. They're certainly a team you've got to look at and think they can cause us problems. But at the same time,
Yeah.
I wouldn't look at that with any fear whatsoever from a Celtic standpoint. There's a reason we haven't lost in 30 games domestically, and it is because we are playing some good football.
So the Red Baron wants to use the European argument. I mean, I see what you're doing with the European argument, mate, but Celtic have been shite in Europe for years and winning trebles. You've been nowhere near it, and I think punching above your weight in Europe for years as well. I don't think you've got the bottle for it domestically in terms of the cups, particularly. I know you won the league by a long way last year. Celtic couldn't have been any worse. This year, there's been a challenge put in front of you back to second place when you should have been still winning the league this year. Come the cups. At least you made a Hampden semi-final for the Scottish Cup. First time in 4 or 5 years, so it's a big achievement, I suppose, as well. And we look forward to it coming up, because for me, it's as I say, it's the draw that I expected to get made. Premier Sports bizarrely told us that was going to be the draw before the draw was made. I don't know if you noticed that, Jonathan.
Yeah, they were expecting that draw. I think on Premier Sports, I think Michael Stewart turned around and called it and said, "Aye, 2 derbies was what he was expecting to come out." I mean, that's not one that
He didn't say.
As I say,
he didn't say he was expecting it. He said it is. That is what happened. I was watching it. He never said, "Oh, I expect it to be this." He kind of said it matter of fact.
Yeah, well, as I say, it's maybe just a case. We know how our rivals get on in cup semi-finals, so we're maybe thinking they would rather make sure they got the big money rivalry fixture played rather than potentially keeping the two separate, and then Rangers inevitably bottling another semi-final, which could very well happen. So yes, it's one of those ones. It's really exciting. Really looking forward to that game. I think that's one that certainly the fans probably wanted to see. It's another huge opportunity, and over the next month or so we'll find out who is the better team in Glasgow, because we'll play them 3 times, twice in the league, once in the cup. League title still up for grabs, Scottish Cup still up for grabs. We're about to find out. European football getting knocked out of the quarterfinals of the Europa League, is that any better than if you finish the season without any trophies? Not so sure it is.
No, absolutely. I mean, you're thinking 3 more matches with them, Jonathan. It's putting me in the mind of Tyson Fury, and I'm thinking trilogy. It'll be very interesting to see what happens. I mean, obviously, the good thing is about the 3 Glasgow derbies that are left is there's a lot riding on them all, let's be honest. Particularly the first League one. Because I think if we win that, that's the league done. I think they know that. There's a hell of a lot of pressure on them in that. I think in the Cup, again, I think there'll be more pressure on them than us, because their Cup record's absolutely rank rotten. Again, I think that suits us, and we've, already won a trophy at Hampden this year. So even the guys in the squad that are inexperienced of Scottish football have now the taste of silverware and doing it at the National Stadium. Again, I think that stands us in good stead, along with guys like, Callum McGregor and all that. Do you know what I mean? It's their second home, isn't it? Near enough, Hampden. So I think definitely it's the draw they wouldn't have wanted. Red Baron could say he's cheering all he wants, about beating Red Star and all that. I don't buy it. I don't think any of them are cheering that they've been drawn Celtic tonight. I really don't. It's a good front. It's a good front to put on, and if they were a boxer, that's what you've got to do. They'd say you'd be delighted with it, and they're going to do this, do that. I certainly, if I was them, I would be a wee bit dreading or looking ahead with trepidation, shall we say, to that Scottish Cup semi. I think it was, it's an exciting draw. Of course it is. We're not going to get away for that. You're playing your nearest rivals. I think these games always stir emotion and all that, Jonathan. And I'm looking forward to it now. We know that is the official draw, although we knew it, as I say, before the draw was made, which doesn't surprise me in any way, shape or form. If the sponsors are going to be licking their lips at the chance, the first time ever, Jonathan, did you know this? 149 years that Hearts, Hibs, Celtic and Rangers, the last 4 teams.
Yeah, it's extraordinary that's happened, because it's definitely, I think it happened in the League Cup 3 or 4 years ago from memory, certainly under Rodgers, and I'm sure I think it was actually the season Christie broke into the scene. But it's very surprising when you look at how successful those 4 clubs have been. 4 of the most successful clubs in Scotland, but they've never been in the semi-finals altogether at the same time. But it certainly is going to be a very strong advertising for Scottish football that weekend. When you're looking at it, you've got the Edinburgh Derby and you've got the Glasgow Derby, 2 of the biggest fixtures on the Scottish football calendar, happening on the same weekend. So there's a lot to look forward to there for a neutral fan. I think when it comes back to Rangers, I think, for us, there's absolutely no reason to fear, as I keep saying. The fact that they've done well in Europe, quite frankly, is irrelevant as far as I'm concerned, because it has no bearing on Celtic really whatsoever. And the fact that if we win the league, they've helped us get a Champions League spot. There's nothing else to that, really, for me. It might give them a bit of confidence potentially going into it. But when we're obviously winning our games, getting through the matches as well as we have been domestically for a number of months now, there's no two ways about it. Celtic are the form team domestically going into these derby matches, and it's up to Rangers, I feel, to now try and prove a point that they can still hang with Postecoglou.
Yeah, and I think, can they hang? That is the key question, but it's something to look forward to. It absolutely is. Now, normally this would be a Monday club show, Jonathan, but obviously, bizarrely, for the second time since the bus's inception, we've had a game on a Monday night. How often does Celtic normally play a game on a Monday night? It must be quite rare that we've played twice on a Monday night in the last 2 months. It's so odd. I was thinking to myself, I was like, we've done this before, haven't we? We've had to sort of combine the two. Looking ahead, obviously, back to domestic, well, not domestic, league duties at the weekend. I mean, Ross County at home sounds on, or reads on paper, as quite a favourable fixture. We know that there's going to be likely 5 more home games to come, Jonathan, for Celtic. Win all them, because that would include beating, the side closest to us in the league. And that would be pretty much us very close to being job done. Ross County's got just as much importance as any game, though, doesn't it? And, to be fair, the big dodgy texter himself, Malky Mackay, is actually getting a fair tune out of Ross County just now.
Yeah, I mean, Ross County is going to be it's a massive game. So look forward to. Obviously, County have got their own top 6 aspirations. They could still end up in the European spots then, so they've got a lot to play for. Yeah, it must be. I think it is the tightest it's ever been for a spot at 4th place in the history of the SPL, Scottish Premiership, whatever you want to call it. It's never been that tight, so there's a lot of incentive there. They're actually playing quite well too, Ross County. I would expect Celtic to take care of business there. You've got to be looking at it now and thinking there's going to be more home games left in this season for us to play in the league. So that surely has to give us some form of advantage getting to play on our own pitch. So we're not playing on, that rubbish we were on tonight at Tannadice, where people were slipping and sliding all over the place. It was like an ice rink at times.
I know.
But I thought, I think with the fact we've got these home games coming up, you're looking at Ross County, which is a winnable game, and then it's also the derby next to Ibrox after that, which will be crucial in determining where the title may end up. And then after that, I think it's St Johnstone at home before the split, which is another game you've got to really be winning when you're looking at where St Johnstone are in the league. Anything other than 3 points there, it's really a disaster, to be completely honest. So it's all looking promising. The games coming up all point towards Celtic picking up points. It's just a case of making sure we keep our professionalism, just keep our composure, and don't get complacent. And, as far as I can tell, it's all looking towards being a very, very promising end to the season.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. And one of the most important factors this season, Jonathan, as well, and I've spoke about this before, when I said I felt there was almost a fake loving for Ange at the beginning from the fans. But either way, it created a positive energy. So I was all for it. Do you know what I mean? But the supporters tonight, from minute one, to minute 90. I can't think of like a 30-second moment where they weren't singing. They were actually starting new songs while still singing another one, and they were all like sort of overlapping each other. You know, we have got a 12th man. That's what Gigi described it as in his post-match interview. He was saying that he goes, it's our 12th player, is the supporters. I think right now the fans are playing an absolute blinder in all of this. And I actually thought Postecoglou, he's got a good poker face, right? But I actually felt he was a wee bit emotional going off the park tonight. He kind of hung back again. He kept doing that, and he was beating his chest. And I think he's really been blown away by the level of support that not only he's getting, but that the team's getting as well. That's going to be essential between now and the end of the season. But I wanted to pick up on the point because the fans deserve massive credit for it's a Monday night, right? It's up to Dundee. It's nowhere near close. A lot of them will have work at 5, 6 in the morning. They'll be up. And what they're bringing to this season's good vibe is, you know, nothing short of remarkable. And you've got to give credit where it's due in that regard as well, Jonathan. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. I think the fans have been an absolute credit to themselves. And I also think Celtic fans, they always tend to rise to the occasion a lot when the club, I feel, is up against it. Celtic fans do that better than anyone. Yeah, I always remember even going back to Neil Lennon's first season. And the last day of that season, Celtic had already lost the league. Rangers were winning about 2 or 3-0 at Kilmarnock very early on. Celtic were beating Motherwell 3 or 4-0. And the fans still did a collective huddle all around the stadium. At that point as a show of support for the efforts of the team that season. And I can draw parallels, I think, between that season and this one in terms of how much the fans have really got behind Postecoglou and what he's been trying to build. And I think the fact that Celtic have, you know, probably for the first time since Neil Lennon's first season in charge, gone into a league campaign as the underdogs for a championship. I think fans have really, I think the fans have totally bought into that and felt like they need to be that 12th man and they need to be giving the club as much support as they possibly can to try and get them over the line. And I think it was Joe Hart who came out with a line the other week saying about how impressed he's been about coming to the club. And he pretty much includes the fans as a part of the club in terms of personnel and like teammates almost to him into terms of what they've actually contributed there. So I do think there's a lot to be said for what the fans have brought to the table this time around.
I was expecting a quote there, Jonathan. You didn't really give us a quote there, did you? You just sort of.
No, I like to paraphrase things. I don't read the whole quotations out to you. I didn't think anyone wanted to be bored by reading the full. Joe Hart said this. Then I'll just put my wee speech marks up and then do that for you. I thought you would have just wanted to paraphrase, but next time I'll bear that in mind and I'll give you a quote from him if that keeps you happy.
To think, Jonathan, this time last year, you know, or just before this time last year, about 30 months ago, that is what we were getting, mate. You know, was those quotation marks, but it's from a manager. And I think that's the other thing. See, with the fans, what I wanted to say was as well, the fans have been at loggerheads with the board for the past 12 to 18 months over, I think, a lot where the delay in getting rid of Lennon and then obviously transfer policy, etc., etc. We've seen the protest. For the fans to just kind of swallow all that, like, to put it to one side would be a better way of putting it. Put it to one side to get on the cause of the team. I think that's brilliant. You know, I think that's credit to them as well. It was absolutely outstanding the way that they're back in the team, and again, like I say, they could have still been in the cream puff. Do you know what I mean, with the board and things like that? I mean, I think I was, to be honest with you, when they appointed Ange. I didn't trust the people that were appointing him, so I was very sceptical. That could have been the universal thought. Do you know what I mean? That could have been, you know, the mindset that the all those fans that are protesting or on Twitter, you know, or any other social media, do you know what I mean, moaning about the board for a year, could have went down that road. And instead, they found a strength of character to go, no. The football comes first still. Yes, there's issues, and we will deal with them. But right now, we're going to back this team. And, you know, you can see that the players absolutely love it. They do respect it, Jonathan, massively. Ange in particular, I think, is blown away by it. Absolutely delighted.
Yeah, no, I think you've actually hit the nail on the head. I think it would have been very easy for fans to have decided that the board didn't have a clue what they were doing when they've appointed Ange, and they've pretty much just winged the whole thing. And they could have quite easily went into the huff over all of that. And it could have ended up becoming one of these scenarios where you get a manager that goes into a club and they end up just not being given any time because the fans just don't buy into it at all. I think, you've seen it with Scotland, a few years back when Alex McLeish got that job. The second time around, the Tartan Army did not buy into that at all, and they were hounding for blood the moment one bad result came. It didn't matter how many good ones they had. As soon as that first bad one came, they were going to turn on them. And it could have played out a very similar way with us. It was a rocky start to the season under Postecoglou whilst he was rebuilding that squad. Lost at Hearts, lost at Livingston. Took him a good while into the season before he won his first game away from home. So there was plenty of opportunities there for the fans to decide, nah, he's not for us. He's not going to get the job done at all. But in fairness to the fans, they always stuck by him. They've always been loud. They've always been making their voices heard. And it's always been extremely positive. There's never been really any moment, even when things weren't going Celtic's way at the start of the season, where the fans turned on the team at any stage. And I think they are now getting their just rewards for sticking with it and seeing how this is all now playing out.
No, I think that's a brilliant way to round off the show. I am going to go. I've got my leg is in bits, man. I'm going to need a couple of paracetamol before bed or something stronger. I don't know.
That magic sponge on it.
I'm needing a magic sponge. I'm needing a magic sponge and a massage. If you know any masseuses, Jonathan, that will come out to Fife Villages at 10 to 11 on a Monday night. No, me neither. Right, anyway, another brilliant night for Celtic. We're into the semi-finals of the Scottish Cup. We will be playing our rivals in the next round. We've got Ross County this weekend. There will be some Boise bus action in between. I enjoyed doing a wee Championship Manager impromptu show last night. We'll do more of that this week as well. We've got the Double Doon show to look forward to also. I think what else we've got to look forward to. So there'll be some post-match pressure on Saturday. If you're wanting to come on, let me know. Jonathan, anything else you've got to add?
No, nothing really. Just hopefully we can continue this run into the weekend. I'm actually at the Ross County game on Saturday, so hopefully I can end my jinx. I've been to 3 games so far this season. Celtic have only won 1 of them. Can't get any worse, can it, surely?
No, well, that's true, mate. That is true.
Hopefully
you never
not.
know. You never know. Anyway, everyone, have a good night. Thanks again for being on the Boise bus, and I just enjoy your week, and hopefully I'll be able to catch some of yous over the week when we do some more shows. I will post them on Twitter and the wee community bit on the YouTube channel, so you are up to date. Brilliant to have so many on. Just over 170 watching tonight, Jonathan. So the bus is still getting good numbers. I'll see you all later.
Yeah. Some of his comments about me deliberately trying to cause controversy. Well, I work in the media now, and you've got someone sitting there next to you who's an embarrassment to the media profession. He's an apologist. He's a charlatan.